Hello, you guys. Welcome. Welcome to our Wisdom Soup Meetup. And all right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ann Tucker, and I founded the Wisdom Soup group way back when. Actually, it's been over 3 years now that we did this, our first Wisdom Soup Meetup. And we started it here in Bellevue. And I really didn't know on that first day if anybody was going to come. It was very much like I wanted a community, right? I wanted to find my people. So I just put my flag in the ground, and I posted the thing on Meetup, and luckily some awesome people showed up. And ever since then, it just was really just showing up every month, and people were coming, and I was able to find amazing speakers who were willing to come and share their gifts with us and teach us about things. And I really just, my rule of thumb was, what do I want to learn? Right? Like, what am I curious about? What sounds fun to me? And that seemed to work for people. It seems like everybody else thought they were interesting topics too, because we are now, I think we're at about 1,000 members in the local Meetup alone. And with everything that's happened, we started broadcasting them, over using Zoom. So we were able to grow and bring in people who, friends of friends, and people who, heard about it from here or there. And the thing that's amazing to me is that I've heard from so many people from elsewhere that they don't have a community like this where they live, that there isn't anything like this. Where we have this kind of community, and so many people connect with each other outside of this group. So I think it's really taken on a life of its own, which I'm so grateful for. So anyways, I'm very happy that you guys are all here. And if you are new to the group, I want to welcome you and let you know that we do have this. It's every month, once a month, on the second Thursday of the month at 7 o'clock Pacific time, and we'll be continuing even after we're out of quarantine. We will still be broadcasting remotely. So no matter where you're located, you can still participate. And we have incredible topics. We talk about everything from, like, tonight, we've got Nancy O'Fallon, who's going to be helping us learn. You guys, many of you have heard, of the beautiful Hawaiian prayer, which I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce. I'm going to let her do that. But, but she's going to be leading us through a wonderful mini workshop together. But we've talked about in the past everything from, we do, dream interpretation to palm reading to dowsing to, quantum physics. Like, we cover it all. Angels, crystals. Like, if it's woo, we want to talk about it. So, and it's fun. It's super fun. And I found that through the process, I've had to expand my own willingness. I think back when I first started this, I would have never done. I was like, oh, this is not about crystals. I was like, crystals don't. Now I'm like, crystals. Like, I have so many crystals. Like, they're everywhere. And there was a time I would have been like, oh, crystals, they're rocks, No, I love my crystals. So anyways, I've grown in this process. And I think it's been really cool because I've seen a ton of people grow with me. Like, I can't believe how many people first came to Wisdom Soup, and now they're practicing. Now they're healers, right? They're using their gifts. It's just so much fun. So thank you so much for being part of this community and joining us tonight. I really appreciate your energy. And I got to tell you, that is, like, the energy is remarkable, because the people who are drawn to this group are amazing people. Like, we have so many very high vibration people in this group. It's just a fantastic community to be part of. All right, so I would love to introduce you to the beautiful Nancy Fallon. So when I first met Nancy, I just knew right away she was like our kind of peeps. She is, not only is she just a beautiful soul, like a really wonderful person to know, but she was inspired to learn all about the Hawaiian healing, all about the sort of that whole lineage of Hawaiian healing. And I met her back when I was I moved to San Diego for a couple of years, and then I moved back up, and I met her when I was down there, and I had it in my head always. It's like, oh, I really want to bring Nancy into Wisdom Soup. So here's my chance. So I've been waiting all this time to invite her in to let you guys meet her. And I'm really excited to see what she does for us tonight. So Nancy, if that's not too much pressure.
No,
let's see. Let me find you here. Are you unmuted and videoed on?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, fantastic. So you guys, this is Nancy. Nancy, meet everyone.
Hello, what a wonderful group of people. I'm so, so excited to be with fellow woo-woo people because that's how I roll. Those are my circles. So I'm excited. And when I met Anne, I was very, very impressed with how she was just so cordial and so kind, as well as a great teacher. So I'm really excited to do this tonight and to be here with you. So thank you very much, Anne, for inviting me. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Ho'oponopono, but let me talk about my background just for a second. So I was an elementary school teacher, and not to give you the whole backstory, but basically I got into NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, an amazing methods and ways that are being used to help people with PTSD and all kinds of things. And the teacher of that was part of a Hawaiian lineage, a Huna lineage. And the word Huna in Hawaiian means hidden. So as you know, some of you may know the history of Hawaii. When the missionaries came, they very much wanted to convert the natives to Christianity. So it was not allowed, the kahunas could not practice. It was not allowed. And if they did, they were either killed or sentenced to labor or sent away or any of those things. So for a long time, it was sort of kept underneath everything. And what Hawaii is doing is reviving their old lineages. And I'm part of a 28 generation lineage. So if you think back to that, that's 28 generations that go all the way back to the chanters at King Kamehameha's court back in the 1800s. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to learn and to grow in my learning all about my lineage, because it's my lineage as well now. And I teach introductory classes and things like that, which I love doing. So today, one of the most precious gifts that Hawaii's ever given us is Ho'oponopono. And Ho'oponopono is the practice of forgiveness. Now, before we go into actually doing this practice and me teaching it to you, it's important to know some of the words and to break down this big word that people sort of struggle with here and there, which is ho'o means to bring or to make. Pono, when you are pono with yourself, you are congruent with yourself. Everything is right with you. You are right with yourself. So two ponos, instead of saying, putting an S on the end like we would, they put two words together. So pono means actually right with yourself, but also right with others. And in Hawaii, this practice is very, very familiar to the Hawaiians. They do what you're going to do tonight, face to face. On the mainland, that is not as easy to do because we all don't necessarily understand how that works. And so instead, what we do is we do it through our imagination. The reason to do Ho'oponopono is most people think first of all, it relates to relationships. So if it's about people for the most part, but you can use it for other things. So when we finish, I'll help with that and explain a little bit about that. Ho'oponopono is a practice that the Hawaiians do together face to face. They usually have a mediator, and they often do it at family barbecues and gatherings. So if let's say that Anne and I had a conflict of some kind and we were part of a group or a family, because the family is so important, what the Hawaiians would do is they would take Anne and me to somewhere in, say we're having a picnic, they'd take us off to the side and we'd have a mediator. And sometimes if so-and-so and so-and-so had heard about this conflict, they were brought in too. And as many people as had heard about the conflict were brought to talk about it. And then basically they would go through the forgiveness process together. Again, now the Hawaiians are not superhuman. They had to be at a place where they were ready to let go and ready to say, okay, I've had enough of being angry or upset with you. I want to make this a peaceful time for us. So they would go off and they would do this. We do it in our imagination, and it's just as effective because everybody knows where attention goes, energy flows. So for Ho'oponopono, there's basically three types of things that you would use it for. I will tell you that part of our lineage and part of the Hawaiian lineage is a woman named Morna Simeona. And Morna actually had a beautiful vision of taking this to the United Nations, and she did. But Morna used to do very, very long Ho'oponoponos. And what I'm going to teach you today is very short, very easy, and very simple. That's my kitty. If you hear my kitty in the background, stop. So anyway, so what Morna would do is she would teach the longer version, and many people have heard the versions from other people. I know some other more esoteric teachers have been doing this for a long time, and we keep it sort of simple because keeping it simple really actually helps to it helps to just get through and really get to the point and the meat of the matter rather than going on for a long period of time. So one of the reasons that you would obviously want to do Ho'oponopono is if you're in some sort of a toxic relationship. And if you want to release that relationship and keep releasing it so it doesn't come back to you, Ho'oponopono is the perfect thing to do. The other reason that you would do Ho'oponopono is if you wanted to make a current relationship better. I do Ho'oponopono with my husband, my friends. I do it with people that I work at a store, so I do it with people that may have come in as customers or people that I work with. I do it pretty much every night if I need to. And sometimes we do it even though nothing's really happened during the day, because sometimes we don't always know if we've come off the wrong way with someone. And of course, COVID has been very, very helpful in showing us that people can kind of come off the wrong way or come off tense or do the blame or things like that. So it's a handy tool to have, and you can use it on the fly if you have to as well. So do know that. The last one that is Ho'oponopono is used for, Morna actually made sure that when she was about to pass away, she had several of her students gathered around her bed, and what she said to them was, "You must do Ho'oponopono with me after I go." And they all said, "Oh, but we love you so much, and we don't want to lose you." And she said, "No." She said, "I'm going on to do something for me, and it could be whatever that is, and you need to move forward as well. So please go ahead and do it." She said, "You can do it with me, and always please keep the good memories of me." So that's something that you can do with someone who's passed away, is you can actually do Ho'oponopono with them, and then basically keep the memories that you want to keep of that person in your heart and in your mind. So there's many ways to use it. There's many reasons to use it, and it's the perfect thing to use nowadays because one of the things that I catch people doing is they'll come into the store, and within a minute, like, they could change on a dime. They may come in jolly and happy and doing their thing, and the very next thing you know, they're upset because they have to put their credit card in a slot or something. It can be, and they're angry and they're fussing at you and things like that. And so it's very, very important for me to do it at night or to do it really immediately. You can do this every morning or in the evenings, or if you don't feel like you need to with anyone, that's great too, but it is a handy, handy tool. And I will tell you it works. I'll tell you a quick story about how it works. So I worked, I actually have a part-time gig at a Staples, and I like it because it keeps me busy and doing things. And I I was working with a fellow associate, and he used to bug everybody. He used to just sort of do weird things and think it was funny, and say some inappropriate things to me or other people or the customers. And after a while, I was just done. So I did Ho'oponopono with him. And after a couple of times of doing that, I realized one day when I was at the store that he had stopped talking to me. And I thought, of course, what do? We go to ourselves. The first thing we think of is, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? And all of a sudden, I heard that voice, that download voice say, aren't you kind of happy that he's not talking to you at this point? And I thought, oh, yes, I am. This is good. This is really good. Okay. Yeah, this is working for me. And then I kept doing it a couple of times more. And eventually he stopped working at the store and he's no longer there. So it changes the frequency and the vibration and the energy between people. And it's very, very powerful. So when I teach you this tonight, I'll give you sort of the basic steps, and go ahead and let yourself do this. It is a wonderful thing to do. Like I said, I do it before bed because that sets up my evening. You could do it in the morning if that works better for you, but it is a wonderful process, and it really, really works. So I want to give you a couple of terms too, and tell you about the process before we actually start the process, okay? So with Ho'oponopono, I'm not going to use these terms, but normally what we do is we want to be pono with ourselves and others. And one of the things that we will do is we will cut cords, because everybody that you meet, everybody that you are around, everybody that you casually encounter, the Hawaiians believe that you are connected to them, and you're connected at your na'au. So if you think about your belly button, that's basically where you connect every time with someone. And it could be a passerby. It doesn't have to be somebody that you've been around or that you're around all the time. So what you will be doing is cutting ties from that core, that center, okay? And the Akka Chord is what it's called. Akka is the Hawaiian name for energy. So Akka Chord is the cord that connects you to them. We'll do a little bit of ha breathing in the beginning. The aloha is all about the breath and bringing forth the breath. The Hawaiians were very big on the breath. We're very big on chanting. And you may hear me chanting a little bit during this. And it will just be a low chant, but don't be alarmed. And that's about it. The rest of it is just you relaxing in, learning a new method and technique. I'm going to have you do it with one person, but you can do it with as many people as you'd like, and you don't have to know their names or know their faces, because we don't know that when we encounter people just by the way during the day. We don't always know that, but it doesn't matter, because you're still cutting, you're intentional. And that is what the Hawaiians are all about, is intention, laying out that intention and putting it forward so that they can utilize it for their day or whatever, utilize it in the situation. So, all right, so I'm going to explain how we're going to do it, and then I'm going to take you through it, okay? So the very first thing that we'll do is we'll get quiet. Somebody needs to do it, I think. Okay. So the very first thing that we'll do is you can just get comfortable and relax. And what will happen is I'll take you to looking down on, you'll be looking down on a stage that's in front of you and below you. And what you will do first is it will be Keg. Keg, you need to mute, or does somebody need to mute? There we go. No, it's still someone else. Okay. Anyway, if everybody can mute, that'll help.
I'll check and see.
Okay, so basically what you're going to do is you're going to be floating above a stage. It's going to be below and in front of you. And while you're floating there, you're going to have a beautiful source of white light above your head. And it will begin to pour into your head, into the crown. It will begin to pour white light into the crown of your head so that you are being healed and whole within yourself as it flows in. And I'll help you visualize that. The next thing that will happen is you'll invite that person out onto the stage, and from your heart, because you will be filled up and overflowing inside and out with the white light, from your heart, you will send them the same white light energy down into the top of their head until it fills them up. And then if you need to say a few things, you say them in your mind. It's a thing that you do in your mind. So you'll be saying those things if you need to say anything to them in your mind. And then when I say it, I will say to you, go ahead and tell them, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Now, let me stop for a second, because I know many people have heard this process with, I think it's I forgive you, please forgive me too, thank you, I love you. I like the shorter version because I know for some toxic relationships, I love you does not apply. Sometimes even if people are having a hard time letting go and saying I forgive you, one of the things that I will help them say is, I forgive and release you. Please forgive and release me. That way we're clearing the decks and it's all taken care of. You want to make sure though that you've said what you want to say, and that you are ready to cut ties, because that's the very next thing that happens. You say, I forgive you, please forgive me too. And then you will see a white light sort of more in front of you the next time, but it's still sort of eye level or above. And that white light will come down as a white blade and cut the cords between you, cut the energy cords, the Akka cords between you and the other person. And then as soon as you cut those cords, the stage and the person and everything dissolves away. And that's basically Ho'oponopono. That's how it works. It's that simple. So if you like the other words or they're appropriate, you can use I love you, thank you. I like the simplicity of the Hawaiians. I forgive you, please forgive me too. And that's it. Okay? So I'll repeat that a couple of times too to give everybody a chance to do that. All right. So everybody ready to start and do this? All right. Here we go. So I want you to go ahead and you can go ahead and get comfortable in your seat and begin to feel your back and your legs supported against the seat or wherever you are. And go ahead and breathe slowly in through your nose. I'll show you what a ha breath looks like, so open your eyes for just a second. A ha breath looks like this. It's in through the nose and out through the mouth. And it's 1 to 2. So it's one quick inhale and then a longer exhale. We'll do about 4 of those. So now go ahead and close your eyes. And breathing in, first breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And in through the nose and out through the mouth. Bringing that down into your belly, in through the nose, bringing that breath down into your belly and out through your mouth. And one more. In and out through your mouth. And now as you're sitting there with your eyes closed, go ahead and think of the one person, picking one person for now, who has wronged you. Bring them to mind. And as you bring them to mind, I want you to begin to see a stage below and in front of you. And you are floating above the stage. See the person that you want on the stage that's below and in front of you. You can invite them out onto the stage. And now, go ahead, while they're standing on the stage, just let them stand there. Go ahead and imagine over your head an infinite source of love and healing directly above your head. And when you are ready, allow this light of love and healing to pour directly into your head and all the way down through your body into the tips of your toes. Feel it filling up your toes and your feet and your ankle, this beautiful, beautiful healing light. Feel it filling up your ankles and your calves and your hips, all the way up to your hips, your quads and your hips. That beautiful light, and go ahead and feel it now as it comes up to your waist and goes through your torso, up into your shoulders, and down each of your arms to your fingertips, all the way to your fingertips, healing you up, making you whole. And now into your neck and into your head. And now you become a fountain of beautiful white light. Let that white light overflow now, and overflow like a fountain till it comes out all around the outside of your body, healing you up inside and out, completely whole, completely healed, this beautiful light. And when you are ready, go ahead now and look down at the person on the stage. And from your heart, go ahead and send this healing light into their crown, down into their body, and into their toes, and up through their feet, their ankles, their calves, their knees, their thighs, into their hips, all the way up their torso to their shoulders, and down their arms to their fingertips, and up into their neck, and up into their head until it overflows out of their head, just like a fountain, healing them up inside and out, so that you are both whole and healed inside and out. This is an infinite source of healing love, so continue to allow it to flow inside and outside over your body. And when you are ready, looking down on the stage, go ahead and say whatever you need to say to this person. Go ahead and say it now. And if you're ready to forgive, go ahead and say, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Holding on to unforgiveness only hurts us. So we let go and we forgive. And now with the willingness in mind, go ahead and say in your most true and honest way to this person, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Even if you don't think you need forgiveness, go ahead and ask for it. This is a two-way flow. I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Forgiveness will release you and make you congruent or pono with yourself. Go ahead and take a brief moment. And if you need to say anything to any or all of the people, make sure that that love and healing energy is still flowing out of your heart, because you have so much. It's all around you. It's all through you. You are safe, and go ahead and say anything you need to say to that person, making sure that that healing light is flowing through you and flowing out of your heart through them. I forgive you. Please forgive me too. I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Go ahead and take some time if you need to say anything you need to say to become congruent with yourself and with that person. And when you can, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. And now, when you are ready, go ahead and imagine that Akka Chord that I spoke of coming from your belly button to the person on the stage, to their belly button, their core area. And imagine gathering that cord up in your hands And go ahead and with the greatest of ease, imagine that beautiful white light, that sword, or it could be a sword or whatever you would like it to be, a blade of some kind. Go ahead and imagine that beautiful white light. And when you're ready, go ahead and bring that white light down and cut the cord between you and the person on the stage. And as you cut, go ahead and begin to see that stage and the person disappear. And as they disappear, you can see the chords disappear, or you can imagine that what's left of your chords goes back into you, filling you up with all that good white light. Go ahead and cut the ties to that person. And when you are ready, make sure that you gather the cord and let that white light come down, that blade of white light cutting through the chords with the most positive of intentions. Allow that blade to cut right down through the Akka chord. And as it does, the stage and the person disappear. And when you are ready, go ahead and let yourself come back into yourself, into the room that you are sitting in, back into your body, back into the chair. Begin to feel the chair that you're sitting in or whatever you're in. And when you're ready, go ahead and come back into the chair, back into your body, and open your eyes. And that's how you do it. And I'm going to give you a little bit more explanation. I just want to turn a light on. Okay. How's everybody doing? Excellent. So one of the basic things about doing this is you can really use it for a lot of things, which is kind of cool. Ho'oponopono, I had a friend text me the other day, and we began to talk about it. She wants to do it for some of the teachers that she works with. And one of the things that you can use Ho'oponopono for is, even without the I forgive you, please forgive me too, is you can still cut chords. You can cut chords with anything because it's an energetic connection. When we think of thought, it's an energetic connection. It's an energy. So if you, for example, let's say that, guilt is a go-to emotion for you. If guilt is a go-to emotion for you, the minute that you can be aware of that go-to emotion and cut ties with it, the more you're going to be able to clear it out of your life. So you can cut ties with emotions. You can cut ties with situations. If you, if I'm in the store and I have to get away from a customer and because he's being handled by the manager because he's been difficult or something, I will go ahead and cut ties right then and there with him so that I don't carry that around the rest of the day. It's really a very great exercise because it really does cut the energy away, and it also gives us that, it fills our heart with our own congruency and brings us back to us. So now, having done it, you could probably see why you could do it with someone who's passed. You could see why you could do it with someone who is toxic and continuously get them out of your life, which I did with the friend, the guy at the store. And with making a relationship better, you actually can change relationships by doing Ho'oponopono because you're changing your energy. And when you change your energy, that affects the rest of the energy. So that is the process. If you want me to, Anne, I can run through just the steps of it if people want to take notes, or I don't know what you think. What do you think?
That sounds great. That sounds great to make sure that people can repeat it themselves. I think everybody had their eyes closed practicing it. So yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's really dark in here. I don't have a good light in this room, but anyway, it's kind of So the very first thing, if you have a pen and pencil, or you want to type it on your computer, or you could type it on your phone, I'm going to go through the steps. They are very, very simple. And I think you can understand why I chose, I forgive you, please forgive me too. That's it. So the very first step is to just, you don't have to get quiet, but when you start doing it, it's a good idea to get quiet and sort of practice it. But later on, you can do it on the fly, like I said. So the very first thing is to imagine that stage below and in front of you, so that you're floating at a safe distance away. So you're floating above a stage and the stage is below and in front of you. Okay. And then if it makes you feel better, you can do it either way. You can actually have the person walk out first onto the stage, or you can, I personally, I did it that way today, but I like to fill myself up with the light first, because then I feel safe. And so you're going to imagine a source of white light above your head, and that white light comes into your crown, and you have it run down into your body until it fills up your body and overflows like a fountain, so that it is now overflowing on the outside as well as filling you up on the inside. And that is just healing you up on the inside and on the outside, healing you up completely and making you whole. Then what happens is, either the person's already on the stage, or you invite them out onto the stage. And once they are out on the stage, from your heart, because you're overflowing with healing now, you go ahead and let that white light go into the top of their head, down into their body, filling them up until they overflow with healing light. Okay. And then once they're overflowing and healed up, then you can say what you want to say to them. I like to keep it short unless I have something that I feel like I want to say. So you can say what you want to say to them. And then you're going to say, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Simple and sweet is the best way to go. And if you need to, for sure, I forgive you, or I forgive and release you. Sometimes that helps, because you don't always, it reminds us that it's a release, that we're cutting ties with this person. So I forgive you, please forgive me too. Say anything that you need to say to them. And then, you may want to repeat, I forgive you, please forgive me too. And then when you're ready, you can see a blade of white light sort of above and in front of you. And then you'll see the energetic connection that you have with them, the Akka Chord. It's AKA, or the energy cord. You'll see that connected from your belly button to theirs. And you go ahead and you let that blade of white light come down and cut through the tie, cut through the Akka Chord, cut through the energetic connection. And as you do that, you see the stage dissolve away, and you see the person dissolve away. And you can do whatever you want with your cords. You can see them dissolve away, or if I always liked it, the little bit of cord that was left, I brought it back into me, because I felt like that was part of my mana, my strength, my power. So what was left of the cord, I just brought back in. You can do it either way. You can see it dissolve, you can see it blow away, whatever works for you. And that's it. That's the
One
problem.
question, Nancy, is Joanne was asking, can you cut cords with people that you want to keep in your life?
Yes, like I said, I cut cords with my husband all the time because, if we have an argument, we don't argue, but very much. But if we have a disagreement or we've had a rough patch, I do Ho'oponopono with him. Sometimes because he knows the process, I will do it, I'll do it right away. I'll do it right on the spot. But yeah, I cut ties because it only improves our relationship. It makes it better. It clears the muck away, shall we say.
So can I ask you, if you clear ties, or if you do the process with somebody, like if they're remaining in your life but you see them fade away, what will shift? Say that this is in a relationship, say that this is something sort of fundamental to the relationship. How does it change the relationship, and is it possible that that person feels less connected to you afterwards?
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to answer the second question first. Yes, sometimes people will get phone calls or something, because someone is cutting ties with them and they feel it energetically. That people can feel that however they want. So for example, with my husband, when I cut ties with him or I cut ties with a friend, usually it's because we may have had a little rough patch or something that happened. And what happens is that rough sort of emotional thing that was sort of wrong starts to dissipate. It just starts to dissipate. So it's hard to explain how a relationship will change because it's so different for everyone. Like the guy at work, he basically just started to sort of disappear. But my husband, wanting him around, wanting him to be with me more, it's a situation where we just feel like the energy's clearer between us, and we don't have any muck or any unsaid words or ickiness because I've changed essentially my energy, and that's changed the energy in general. So it's a different vibe. Does that make sense?
Fantastic. Would you be willing to go through the process, lead us through it once more in case people have a second person that they want to cut ties with? And wait just a moment. We've got one other question here. And if you have a question, post it in the comments and I will share it with Nancy. And I will be sharing the recording of the event so you guys can rewatch it. So Gita just asked that. Thank you, Gita. And Vicki asked, can you explain how you work with cutting ties with emotions and situations? What do you visualize?
It depends because really it is in our imagination. So I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a guilt person. Like I sort of have the guilt go to like, oh, I shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing. And if I have the awareness to catch myself in the process of doing that, I will stop and go, oh no, and I'll just see that blade of light come down and cut that emotion completely away from my Akka Chord, completely away from where we take it in our bellies, or some people take it, they like to see the cords cut from their heart. I do belly because the gut is really where we get that energy input. So it can be, oh, I'm on to you. Nope, that's not mine. I'm not going to feel guilty about that. I'm cutting cords with that. Or a situation where I may start to get, I don't know, maybe someone starts to get upset in traffic, and they're just like, I can't believe, and it's all of a sudden, it's like, you know what, I don't need this. I'm cutting the cords. I'm just cutting the cords with that emotion or cutting the cords with that feeling. I'm here. This just gives me extra time. And here I go, to hang out.
So in that case, would you visualize, do you just focus on the feeling and not have a visualization of a person? You just kind of feel the feeling and cut the ties of the feeling without really having a picture in your mind?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You cut the cords because anything that you're connected to is through, you're going to connect to it through that Akka Chord. Oh, there's that guilt feeling again. Oh, you know what? I don't have to feel this. I'm done. Bye-bye. And I just cut it away. It really is such a great feeling.
Thank you. And Sheila's asking, is it helpful to think of the cord being cut as an aspect of the relationship versus the whole relationship? Like, so if you have, say, for example, there's one particular thing that's not going well, do you think about that specifically when you cut the cord, or is it just like the whole thing?
It's up to you. It's up to you. You can cut that aspect away with that person. They're always nagging me to do whatever, or whatever it is. You can cut the aspect away, and then you basically, you don't have to, it's really, because it's so much in our imagination. This is the thing about woo that's so funny to me, is people go, that's all in your head. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Because I can make the change to my head. I can change my thoughts. Louise Hay used to say, it's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. So it really is however you picture it at the moment. If you picture it as you could picture it as a little aspect that's like a fly buzzing around you, and all of a sudden you're like, no, cut the ties with the fly. It really, it's up to your imagination, because it really is a belief of, yes, this is working. So this is what I saw, and this is what worked.
Perfect. Lisa has a great question, is can you put yourself on the stage for self-forgiveness?
We always get this question. So it's a great one. It's a great one. So first of all, we can't cut ties with ourselves. People have tried. Believe me, people have tried within my classes even. I can't, and it's just not working. Good. You don't want to cut ties with yourself. But what I will say is, you could cut ties with aspects of yourself that you don't like, maybe, like if I say, like when I said, oh, I feel that guilt coming on, I know I did something wrong, I can cut ties with that immediately. I do another process, which is a full release of anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, all of that. And that is actually, that's called ho'oku'u, which is bringing the release. And that process, as you go through it, you're releasing yourself all the time, because you're releasing yourself from the anger and things like that. Now, you can definitely, how do I say this? You can definitely, I would never put myself on the stage and be direct with myself, because of the fact that you can't cut ties with yourself. And so that process is a little different, because but I will say this is what I was going to say. When you forgive aspects of other people, or you're forgiving the other person, one of the things that we know is that perception is interpretation. So whatever we see outside of us is our interpretation, right? So if I'm cutting ties with someone who, say, is bugging me or stubborn or something like that, I'm cutting ties already. I'm cutting ties with that aspect of myself too, because what I always say is, you spot it, you got it. You can't see in someone else a personality trait or a characteristic unless you have it, unless you can relate to it. And that's how we see it, good, bad, or otherwise. There's great aspects that we see of ourselves and other people as well. So when you cut ties with that person, you're actually doing a lot of self-forgiveness, because you're cutting that away from yourself as well.
Great. Yeah. Another question, Jean was asking for, so when the person is on the stage and you are sort of clearing the air, sort of saying what bothered you, what are some phrases that you might say? Like how in depth do you need to go? She says, okay, do you need to say like something like, you really hurt me, or you're pushing my buttons, or how much do you need to get out in that process? And what is it serving? What's the point of that? So I guess, does it need to be for them or for to get more clarity around that?
Some people just need to talk more. That's really what it is. Some people just need to talk more, because there may be more there. If it's going to be a process that takes a little longer, here's the thing. What you're doing is you're cutting ties to let go and not really rehash what's gone on and who said what and who shot who and whatever went on. You're cutting ties so that you can have sanity. So whatever comes up, some people just need to talk more. I am not a person that needs to talk more, because I just want it to happen. I just want it done. But if you have some things to say, it's really whatever comes to your mind. You could say, you really hurt me and I didn't like it, but you know what? I'm done and I don't want this in my life anymore. So I forgive you. Please forgive me too.
Excellent.
That can be as simple as that.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brenda was asking, or excuse me, or Joanne was asking, I would imagine that you can cut ties with organisms in your body, illnesses, energies that are causing them to proliferate. That makes a lot of sense. What do you think?
I think it's great. I think anything that you can do energetically is going to affect the other energy that's going on. So yeah, if you can imagine that that's just going, that's great. Maybe line all those little germs up, on the
On the
stage.
stage.
Say, I forgive you, please forgive me too. Bye-bye. So yeah, you can do this with so many things. It's such a great thing. Yes. And I see the COVID remarks. So the friend that was asking me a question about Ho'oponopono the other day was saying that she was teaching the teachers how to cut ties with COVID, cut ties with, having to be online and not liking it, just the things that we don't like, cut ties with them, because otherwise, here's what I always say. People, when we've gone through the audience and said, how long is, who's got the record for holding the grudge for the longest? Who's got that record? And people will proudly raise their hand. Well, how many years? 40 years, 40 years I've been keeping this. And really what we know is that even with 40 years of holding on to something, you can cut ties in an instant because you're ready to do it. The other thing I say to people all the time is, you could be holding a grudge against somebody. In fact, I have a friend who's having a hard time with her niece and she just can't let it go. And I said, listen, you can hold that grudge, but guess what? She's off to have dinner with a friend or enjoying, a hike outside or something. She's skippity doo-dah and you're fuming about it. So that's why we do this. It's not for them, it's for us.
Yes. So someone is asking, when you do the example that you gave, when you cut ties with an emotion, like you said, you get cut off in traffic and you get angry and you're like, I'm going to cut ties with that feeling. Do you go through the process? Because when you gave that example, you didn't necessarily say, I forgive you, you forgive me with the emotion. Is that something that you do, or do you modify the process?
You can, if someone cuts you off, I would say, I forgive you, please forgive me too, because that's a relationship that you had for a moment. But if you're feeling that anger rise, you can cut ties with the anger just with yourself.
Just the emotion without the I forgive you emotion. You forgive me. Okay.
Yeah. Really, the I forgive you, please forgive me is more for relationships. Perfect. And then cutting ties is just for energetic muck.
Okay. And Nanan is asking she's asking about the positioning during the visualization. That is it crucial to have it be where you're there on a stage and you're looking down, or can you do it more eye level? Sort of like there's a sort of a figure 8 exercise for compassion key where they're right in front of you at eye level. So is there a reason for the height difference?
Yeah, the height and the distance from the stage just makes the person above feel safer.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Could you repeat what ho'o means? What it
means make.
Oh, to make.
Ho'o. Yeah, so it's HO''O. It means to make. It can mean to bring, but usually it means to make.
Okay.
Let me get this light a little bit more over here. Gosh. Okay. Yeah, it just means to bring or to make. And pono means congruent. And two ponos is congruent with self and congruent with others.
So can you teach us how to say the name of the prayer correctly, like slowly?
Yeah. So, one of the things in Hawaiian, which Hawaiian, as you know, or maybe have seen, has a lot of vowels. And a lot of vowels, all the vowels are used and not as many consonants. So some of the combinations of vowels work sort of like consonants. But anyway, so when you have the HO and then an apostrophe O, that's a glottal stop. So anybody if they've ever taken speech therapy or anything, so it's ho'o. So you stop and then you say the O. So it's ho'o. So Everybody try that.
Ho-oh.
Ho-oh. And then the rest of it's easy. Pono, pono.
Pono, pono.
Yep.
Ho-oh. Pono, pono.
Yep. It's ho-oh. So you're stopping, you're literally having a glottal stop. So it's ho-oh.
And so when you say it fast, do you say ho-oh, pono, pono? Like
That's
all one,
perfect.
all the same? Okay.
Yeah. Ho-oh, pono, pono.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's not as hard as people think. They just have to slow down because we all talk so fast on the mainland. And so we lose things, you know.
Okay, so another person is asking if you can cut ties with someone that you haven't met personally, like, say, for example, a political figure that you see every day in the news.
I've done it, by the way. Just saying.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. Can you let's see? Holding. Is it is it different when someone is holding a grudge or vendetta against you? Say, for example, like a stalker energy. So it's like them who are holding something. So if it's so if you're doing the process, and yeah, and so basically, if you are holding a grudge against someone, do you go through the process in a similar way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because remember,
Or vice versa, if they're holding a grudge against you, what do you do if you're sort of like the recipient and this person has a grudge against you, and how can you try to right that relationship?
great question. Great question. Yes, you absolutely do it. I've coached people that felt like someone was holding a grudge against them and felt, that intimidation and feeling small. And yeah, it's for any relationship that needs the energy cleared up.
Would it be in any way disadvantageous to do this? Like, say, for example, if you had uh, like if it wasn't like a stalker, that kind of a thing, if it was something where you don't want to mix your energy with theirs necessarily, is there any concern with that if you're trying to clear that up?
No, because what you're really trying to do is cut away and forgive and get away from that energy. So this is actually really, really helpful for that. And you just keep doing it continuously because that will change it. It should change it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Um, uh, there is another question. Is it a good idea to cut ties with all the would you recommend it generally to cut ties with politics, like all of the different candidates and stuff, just to get sort of clean of all of the media frenzy?
If it is bothering you, yes, do it. That's what it is. If it's bothering you, and you maybe you're someone who has to look at the news daily or something, you gotta let that stuff go. You gotta cut ties, because otherwise you could just spin out on that stuff.
Yeah, so true. Yep, I'm all for the media diet. Okay, so another question is, how do you tell the effectiveness? Like, do you repeat the exercise, and how often do you repeat the exercise? Like, if you don't see, will that make it, and will it make it heal faster if you do the exercise more frequently?
I would say yes, it would make it heal faster because of the fact that you are consciously cutting ties, consciously saying, consciously giving that message over and over. Um, Again, it's in your imagination, so how often and how long you do it is up to you. It really is for, because you're going to feel energetically if it's clearing away, or if you're still holding on, or if you get sucked in again and it's holding on again. Do it again. You do it as often as you need to. And there's no too much, there's no too little, and it's in your imagination, so it's up to you how you want to do it.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. So what do you think? Are you willing to run us through it one more time? Let us do, in case some of us have more than one person we need to cut ties with. So
Well, this is the other thing that I wanted to say too, is a couple of things. One is, you can put like when my teacher does this, he puts, sometimes it varies. He feels out the audience to see where they are, and sometimes he'll put everybody on stage. It'll be like he'll start with parents, and then he'll go to siblings, and then he'll go to family, and then he'll go to people that know you by name. And it gets big on the stage. And people have to step aside before you cut. But if you do, one other thing to know is, let's say you have 5 people on the stage, you're going to gather those Akka chords all together in front of you and see them all as one chord. So they all lead in to one chord, and that way you're cutting one chord.
Okay. Excellent.
And yeah, so the only difference is you're just bringing more people on the stage. That's Excellent. It. So I just do it with one because, it's for the time management, and because I feel like once people have the process, then they can put anybody they want on the stage. Perfect. Could be mom, my mom's passed away, and sometimes I still put her on the stage, because I want those good memories of her. I don't want, any of the conflict memories.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right. So,
and thank you guys for all your great questions, by the way. I appreciate it.
Great questions. Thank you. They really were. That's awesome. All right. So if you are ready, go ahead and get comfortable again one more time. We'll get a good practice in here. And begin to close your eyes, feeling your back and your legs supported again. And just breathe in. We'll do 4 ha breaths. So in through the nose and out through the mouth. And in through the nose and out. And in and out. And one more time, in and out. And now, as you're sitting there with your eyes closed, think of another person who has wronged you. Bring them to mind. And before you bring them to mind, let's go ahead and see a stage below and in front of you. And you are floating above that stage. Go ahead and see that stage floating while you're floating above and in front of it. And when you are ready, go ahead and imagine an infinite source of love and healing white light directly above your head. Allow this light of love and healing to pour directly into your head and all the way down to the tips of your toes. Again, filling up your feet, your ankles, your calves and your thighs, up to your hips now and into your torso, flowing in this beautiful white light up to your shoulders and down your arms, into your fingertips, into your neck and up into your head until it overflows up through the crown of your head, and it starts to flow over your body on the outside, healing you up on the inside and the outside completely. Feeling that white light heal you up. And when you are ready, from your heart, go ahead and flow that healing energy to the person on the stage, from your heart into their crown chakra and into their body, up through their feet, ankles, up through their legs, their hips, their torso, down their arms and into their fingertips, into their neck, their head, and now it flows out and over their body, healing them up inside and out while your healing flow is still flowing inside and out of you. It's an infinite source of healing love, so continue to allow it to flow inside and out and over your body and over theirs. And now, with that willingness in mind, with that willingness in mind, go ahead and from your heart, in the most true and honest way, say to this person, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Even if you don't think you need forgiveness, remember it's a two-way flow. I forgive and release you. Please forgive and release me too. And when you release, you become congruent with yourself. If you need a brief moment to say anything to the person on the stage, go ahead and say it now. Finishing off what you're going to say with, I forgive you. Please forgive me too. Forgiveness releases us and makes us pono, congruent with ourselves. Take a brief moment to say anything else, making sure that the love and healing energy is still flowing. I forgive you. Please forgive me too. And after you've said anything that you need to say to be congruent with yourself and with the person, you're going to prepare to make them disappear from the stage. Imagine an Akka Chord going from your belly button area to their belly button area, connecting you to that person. And imagine gathering up that cord in your hands. And when you are ready, gather all the cords and imagine a white blade of white light coming from infinite source above your head. And when you are ready, with the most positive of intentions, allow that blade of light to cut right down through the Akka Chord. And as it does, go ahead and allow the stage and the people on the stage to just disappear. Go ahead now and cut the cords and allow that stage and that person to just disappear. Fully disappear. And when you are ready, go ahead and come back into the room, back into your chair, back into your body, and go ahead and open your eyes. It's great. You guys are going to be pros now.
Thank you. That was so wonderful. We've just a couple other little questions that came in. Lots of people saying thank you, thank you, thank you. That was clearly wonderful for lots of us. And a quick question is does this work in all situations? What about for money? Does it work to cut ties with money?
I would work to cut your more negative ideas about money.
Yeah.
I would cut ties with those. Again, I do teach, when I teach my course, I teach what's called ho'oku'u, and we cut ties with all the negative emotions because they come one after another. And that's another way to do it too. But yeah, you can cut ties with anything that's you no longer desire to have. And I wanted to answer that one question too. There was a question about how do you know it's been effective? You have to look at the signs, look at the symbols, watch the relationship with the person, because it will change. It's just sometimes we get thrown into that thing, like I was like, why is that guy not talking to me? Oh, maybe because I don't want him to talk to me. We have to be aware enough to go, oh, I see, this is how it changed, because spirit works in so many different ways, right?
Yes, so true, so true.
So just be like, it's kind of fun, like do it and then be aware and watch.
Yeah. So tell us, how can people work with you, and how can they get in touch with you?
So I actually am going to be I'm going to be doing an overview of the lineage and an introduction to Huna, to Hawaiian Huna. I'm going to give a couple of tools out with it that are different from this. And I'm going to be doing that on the 22nd, Saturday, the 22nd of August at 11. I'm starting at 11. So the best way to reach me would be my email, which I don't know.
You can tell me and I can put it in the chat.
Okay. Well, I can put it in the chat too. Do you want me to?
Sure, yeah. Go ahead and type it in.
So it's nofallon9@gmail.com. And be sure to identify where you met me, because I don't know, I don't see all the faces. And then also you can reach me if you want to text me or call me at 619-518-4621. And that's for Nancy O'Fallon. And I'll remind you in the chat that it's for Hawaiian Huna. By the way, we call it Ho'omanaloa, which means to make big energy. Big energy. That's our lineage name. So don't be fooled by Huna and when people say it's hidden, because really now what Huna has become is what is hidden is now revealed. It's starting to be really brought back. Our one of the people in our lineage, Uncle George, is one of the people who actually brought hula back to the islands. It was almost dead, and people thought it was just a bunch of this, Yeah. And he brought it back, and then got Japan interested in it and brought it to different places on the mainland. So he's one of the people that revived the culture, because the culture had been almost wiped out in terms of their traditions.
Wow.
So
wow.
It's amazing. Yeah. And what's really great is one of the things about my lineage that's really exciting is that we have symbols. They found in the 1800s, at the end of the 1800s, they found 36 symbols that nobody knew where they came from. And it was basically the monarch at the time had tasked this man named Kuau-hau-ali'i to go to the islands and see what was left. What were the kahunas doing? And so it was all put into a manual with names and lineages, and those symbols were in there. And when two generations back, when Tad James was in the islands with Uncle George, the woman who was keeping those symbols had a dream, and she had seen the man who she needed to deliver them to in the dream, and it was Tad. So she gave him the symbols.
Oh,
very, very powerful. They're I use them. I am a Reiki master, but I use Huna symbols more because they're just super powerful, and they're all about intention, and they all connect up.
So cool. Well, we got lots of thank you. Janet says thank you. Leonard says, I love all the things I learned today. Thank you. Joanne says thank you. Brenda says thank you, Nancy. We've got beautiful thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love this. Thank you. So many people. It really works. Love to you all. And then one remaining question. Do you, when you're doing the process, do you imagine yourself as just a silhouette energy and then filling up light, or do you actually imagine your full self feeling with clothes when you're filling up with energy? Or do you just actually just feel energy inside your body? So
you're talking about seeing it, feeling it, or hearing it, or however people sense energy. So it's really personal. It's really personal to how you see yourself in that process. Really don't get caught up in the details of how it should look, because again, it is all in our imagination, and people see it differently. As long as it works, that's the most important thing. Right?
Beautiful.
We need it nowadays.
Yeah, do we ever. Thank you so much. Well, this has been great, Nancy. It's so glad, like after all this time, I've been meaning to somehow bring you into Wisdom Soup, and this worked out so great. So I'm so glad you were able to do this for us. Thank you so much. And if you guys want to get in touch with Nancy, get her information here from the comments, or you can always reach out to me later if you need to get her contact info. All right. Thanks so much, you guys. And we'll see you again next month, second Thursday of the month, always at 7 o'clock. Again, it'll be another Zoom, and I'll be posting it in the Meetup group as well as on Facebook. And we'll have another fun evening together a month from now. So thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Anne, so much. Thanks again.